And no, again, it's not because I have dog shit calves, because I do have dog shit calves. It's just what is up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm back to you today, and I was just scrolling on YouTube, and I found an interesting video from this YouTuber called Isaiah, where he ranked the worst genetic, things you can have for building muscle, and I thought it was a very interesting video, so I thought, hey, why not I react to it, give it my opinion. I've already watched it, and I think the video was really well done. Never heard of this guy before, but after watching it, gave him a quick follow. So after watching my video, if you haven't seen it already, you should probably go and watch his full video too, because I think it's very interesting. But let's get right into it.
So in today's video, we are going to be going through and ranking the worst genetics on a tier list, going from you're cooked all the way down to not so much a problem. And I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and putting each of them in a different spot on the tier list. So let's get started. So starting off, we're going to begin with bad chest genetics. So here's an example of that. There was this one wrestler who had pretty awful insertions in his chest. He had like a big gap in his chest, and it also developed to get much worse as he got older, which is weird because the insertions in your chest don't really change. Here's another example of I think this guy's a UFC fighter, basically just has just a massive flat part in his chest. But then on the other hand, you do have people like Hassan. He had a condition with his chest called pectus, whatever it's called, where it's like your chest is indented, but he actually managed with the years of his training, managed to make it close to not noticeable. So it is a big nerf to your physique. You can see how he's developed his chest, and you can almost barely notice it. Put this up as a big physique nerf, but I don't think it's completely life-ending to your physique.
Ooh, that one's tough. To me, I think a big chest is very important for a physique, so I would actually probably go beyond cooked. It kind of depends how much of a gap you have. I do have a small gap in my chest, and most people do anyway. It's very, very common. So I think depending on how much of a gap there is, I know, like, don't mean to call anyone out, but I know Tristan Lee, he does have, quite a big separation there. So I would personally put it in beyond cooked if it's a very big separation like that. But if it's a little bit small, like Hussein or whatever, like, he does have that gap there, but if you build up your chest and you get it really big, thick, and juicy, I think you can hide it really well. So you know what? No, maybe because if you can build it up and whatever, okay, I'll go one lower. I don't remember what it was called, but not beyond cooked. I'll put it where, like, physique nerf, I guess.
On to short clavicles. So Ronaldo has a bit of a case of this. So short clavicles, basically it means like the collarbone from one end to the collarbone on the other end is a very short bone. His torso and his hips up to his shoulders, it's just like completely straight. So I'm just gonna put it at a big physique nerf for now.
I would also go big physique nerf on this one. I think when it comes to shoulders and stuff like that, it really depends how small your waist is. If you have a really small waist and your shoulders aren't super, super wide, it's not too bad. But if you have a wide waist and narrow clavicles, then that's pretty beyond cooked, because you're gonna kind of look like a square and not that V. But I would also go big physique nerf on that one.
Next up, we have barely visible abs. So one person who sort of has a case of this, I would say, is Jeff Nippard. And what I mean by barely visible abs is not completely invisible. I mean, you have to get quite literally like 7 to 8% body fat for your abs to be visible. Yeah, I'm gonna put this in a big physique nerf. I think having abs makes quite a substantial amount to the overall look of your physique.
Now, I'm actually going to put this one in not ideal, and the reason I'm putting it in not ideal is because you can do there's essentially, if you don't have abs, you better be able to pull off a freaking vacuum, because, like, Sebum, his abs are they're not bad, but they just don't pop that much. So what he did was popularize the vacuum. So as long as you have either abs or a vacuum, I think that's great. If you can do both, that's really good too. But as long as you have one, I think you can pass. So if you don't have abs, but you can do a really sick vacuum like Chris Bumstead, I think someone like kind of an example of someone who has like those washed out abs a little bit, like he's saying. He said Jeff Nippard. I'm gonna bring up Derek Lunsford. I don't know, when he's on stage, I just don't, they, and he does the ab and thigh pose, they just kind of look washed out a little bit, but he does an amazing vacuum too, so I think that makes up for it. So I'm putting it in not ideal.
Barely vascular. So this is a photo of what I mean. Sort of someone who lifts and you just can't see any veins whatsoever. So I'm gonna put it in not ideal, but I don't think you're completely cooked.
Yeah, I would go not ideal as well. I definitely think I have pretty good vascularity, especially in my forearms and stuff when they get really pumped up. I do have some veins going on my biceps, although I am very lean. I would also agree not ideal, because I think to some extent, I think a lot of people though, like the general public anyway, they don't like all this vascularity. I think a lot of people think that's gross, but like if you're on stage and you don't got any vascularity at all, I think that is a little bit, not as good. You, again, like he said, you don't look as lean, so I would also go not ideal.
Okay, next up we have having a blocky or wide waist. So this is kind of due to the positioning of your hips, I believe. Not in every case though, so this sort of just makes your physique look like a Minecraft character. Everything's just so blocky. It's just like there's just no shape with his torso whatsoever. And you are pretty cooked if you got a case of this, to be honest.
Yeah, I would put having a wide waist in being very cooked, and this is why. So you might be thinking, well, you put not having wide shoulders in the category below, but let me tell you why I believe it's better to have, if you could only have one, really wide shoulders or a small waist, I would choose a small waist, because the small waist affects your X frame, so it affects the width of your shoulders, but also how much it looks like your quads are flaring out. Whereas the shoulders, it only contributes to that top V portion. So I do believe having a small waist is very crucial and is very dominant in bodybuilding. You see guys like Samson Dota and Derek Lunsford at the top right now. Those guys have really tiny waists, or you have Keon Pearson as well. So I definitely think a small waist is good, and it looks aesthetics, it looks nice, and bodybuilding's like an art, so I gotta put, if you got a really wide waist, sorry, that's beyond cooked.
Next up we have having a short torso. So basically this just means you usually have really long arms, which is great for deadlifting. In terms of aesthetics, it doesn't look so good. Pretty dramatic physique nerf in my opinion, so I'm gonna put this one up in beyond cooked as well.
He's having short torso and beyond cooked. I think that I would put it in not ideal. It doesn't look amazing, but if you got massive arms and shit like that, I don't know. I don't think you're nearly as cooked as having a wide waist, but hey, that's his opinion. I would much prefer having a tiny waist and then also having a short torso, but what do I know? 16-year-old idiot on YouTube.
Moving on, we have being a hard gainer. So what I mean by this is just you really struggle. You just don't have the genetics to put much weight on. I know a lot of you might think it just comes down to basic thermal dynamics. When you're a hard gainer, it's your body just rejects trying to eat heaps and heaps of food. You just never feel hungry. You really just struggle to put mass on, I guess. Not a complete physique nerf, so I'm gonna put this one in not ideal.
Hard gainer, he kind of describes it as like just putting on total amounts of mass, but when we think of hard gainers, it's not that they can't put on like fat, because if they just drink freaking olive oil, they can get real fat. It's more so they don't have great genetics to put on a lot of muscle. So I'm bordering on big physique nerf and beyond cooked. I don't know. It's definitely one of those two. I mean, if you don't got the genetics, especially if you're natural or whatever, to put on a lot of size, you're just gonna kind of look really skinny. And I mean, there's nothing really wrong with that, but I don't know. I think I'm saying beyond cooked. If you just can't put on size and shit like that, I mean that's one of the most probably the most important thing in bodybuilding is putting on muscle even more than having a small waist. Yeah, it's putting on muscle and getting shredded, I guess. So I would go beyond cooked on this one. Sorry if anyone, if you are like, ectomorph or whatever and you are a hard gainer, but hey, it's my opinion.
All right, next one we have having short biceps. So I sort of have this bit of a gap there. I think a lot of people think this looks more aesthetic, but I think there's half and half with the benefits and the cons of having this bicep insertion. So it can look bad in like baggy shirts. You can't really see the end part of your bicep when you're wearing a shirt. Obviously, how you look in a shirt makes a little bit of a difference. Doesn't make too much of a difference to your physique. It looks good when you're flexing. I'm gonna put it at get away with it.
Short bicep. I definitely have a short bicep. I would also agree, and I'm not saying this just because I have it. I do think you can get away with it. I don't think that if you don't have a long bicep, you can't get an aesthetic bicep just as long as the peak is still there. And you can even see guys with long biceps like Derek Lunsford or Samson Dota, but the peak really, like, if you look at them, they don't have that amazing peak. So, or someone like Hadi Chopin, he has a short bicep, but he has a great peak. So in my opinion, I think that's more aesthetic. Now, could you have a long bicep and a great peak? Yep, like Nick Walker, but I don't think it's a huge deal. So I would also have to agree with him there.
Alright, next up we have small legs or small calves. I don't have the biggest legs in my opinion, obviously compared to my upper body. I train my legs quite a lot just to try and make it somewhat up to par with my upper body, so I have to train legs a lot more than probably someone with good leg genetics. But in particular, having small calves makes you wear a target on your back. I think it's a pretty big physique nerf, so not beyond cooked, but you can wear leggings, so I'm going to put it down to a big physique nerf.
Small legs, he's going big physique nerf. I mean, I would also have to agree. Guys, you need some freaking legs. Now, he also kind of mentioned like small calves. I would put that I would put that even two categories below. And no, again, it's not because I have dog shit calves, because I do have dog shit calves. It's just like, if you look at someone on the Olympia stage, are they really gonna lose the Olympia because they don't have the biggest calves? Like, probably not. No one's looking at the Olympia stage and going, oh my god, his calves are so small, he clearly wins the back double bicep. No, you're just not really thinking that. You're thinking, holy shit, that guy's legs or his hamstrings are popping, his back is thick, his arms are peaked. That's what you're looking at. So in the sense of small calves, I would put that in, you can probably get away with it or whatever. But like quads and hamstrings, I think that's very crucial for your physique. I would put that in big physique nerf, bordering on whatever that, I don't remember what the top category was, but yeah, bordering on beyond cooked, because again, in bodybuilding we want that X frame. So if you don't got those flaring quads, you don't have the X frame. So
alright, next up we have just being short. So, and I'm talking 5'6" and below. I'm gonna put it in big physique nerf.
Being short, big physique nerf, yeah, probably. I know people think, oh, you're short so you can pack on so much more muscle. That's freaking bullshit, because when you're short, you gain muscle at a slower rate than someone who's taller. So yes, it would be true if you gain 10 pounds of muscle on a 5'5" person, it would look bigger on them than if you gained it on a 6' person, but it's harder to gain 10 pounds of muscle when you're 5'5" in the first place. So yes, being tall definitely helps. I'm a 5'5" manlet, but yeah, that's pretty cooked. Some other things that he didn't mention, though, which I think are quite important. High inserting lats, I would put this in beyond cooked. I think, having like, I mean, you're basically cooked from the rear. If you got high inserting lats, it doesn't look very thick. Your back, it kind of looks really shallow and it kind of detracts from it. So I would also put that in beyond cooked. Another thing you didn't mention, if you can't pull off a vacuum, I don't really think that's a big deal. Again, like I said, you either have abs or you have a vacuum. As long as you have one, I think that's okay. So I would put that in not ideal. But that was pretty much his video. I think it was a great video. I think it was very interesting. So definitely go check his channel out. I'll have his video linked in the description. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.